So in this YouTube, this is a continuation from the series that I started where we take an AWS blog, we're going to deconstruct it, and the whole purpose of that is just to learn how to become more familiar with the DevOps process and also work with Kubernetes. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing, and I'm gonna show you basically, is just how to my process basically for just deconstructing like an AWS blog, just to get more training out of it, and show you how to I leverage ChatGPT to kind of really speed up development, just so I can just get the things I need done tested and so forth. So to begin, first of all, we're just gonna be deconstructing this particular AWS blog, and all it does here is it's all about scheduling flights, booking flights, and getting flight statuses and so forth. So it's just a scenario that we can use, and the service that's actually being used with this in the blog is AWS Connect, which is a basically a call, excuse me, a cloud contact center. But even more specific is Amazon Lex, which is a text to speech service. Um, so what normally would happen is you would call the AWS Connect main line, a toll free number maybe, and there's a contact flow, there's a flow that you would actually go through, and then you would ultimately hit this chat bot that's been defined to to say what would you like to do or something like that. Would you like to book a flight, get a status or whatnot? But hey, that's not really. I mean, what I want to do here is just kind of teach how I would get practice with using Kubernetes or so. So the approach here is I start first by looking at the DynamoDB. Okay, so everything is going to be DynamoDB is a source of truth. Okay, and so the first order of business in my mind is, okay, we need to create database tables that can handle all of these different uh, actions. Okay, so we need to be able to maybe create a front end that can basically collect all this information that the user will be basically pushing buttons to do through this process. We can just create a little front end, because creating a front end that is going to allow us to get work with containerizing the application, and then going through a CI/CD process of building the application, and deploying it for later use on Kubernetes, which is like the next stage of this multi-series, this series of YouTubes. So what I would do here is, again, I want to create a DynamoDB database table that can handle all of these scenarios. So what I did was, hey, I just go right to GPT and I say, hey, here is these are the actions that I need for you to create a DynamoDB schema from, and this basically kind of how what I do. So I just leverage AI, and I kind of get an idea about, okay, how the database table would be designed and whatnot. And this is like an iterative process. Um, so this is like a couple days ago. What pieces of information must I pass in each table to write to DynamoDB, and it gives me this schema here. So this schema is important because ultimately these are going to be the fields that I need to enter in the web app that's going to pass to the database. And let me just kind of show you what the web app does right now, anyways. So it's not really a web app, but it's just going to be containerized, and we're going to use it, deploy it to Kubernetes, and it's just more fun to do it this way, actually. So we have this up and running. All right, so it's flight reservation system. So book a flight table. So that's I just had GPT to create the schema, and then with the schema, I just need a corresponding front end, and so that's what this is. So I want to book a flight. Okay, and this flight I want to call it 5. I got 5 on it. I got 5 on it. ET. This is my name, Elliot L. I don't know. Let's go up to 29. I got 5 on the flight number. Dallas. I don't know. That's Dallas. Okay, so DA. Chicago. I don't know. All right, it's called confirmed. Okay, so we're just going to create this reservation. There'll be a little statement here that says the reservation created successfully and the flight status was updated successfully. That's great. All right, so let's say I want to get the flight details. So just get details, So you can call it whatever you want, but here I just call it get reservation details. And here it just requires, okay, so it's and by the way, this is using a framework called Streamlit. It's very great for building web applications with Python that can accept information. So it's called Streamlit. So I'll put a link to how to the vendor documentation and comments. But that's what I've done here. So I just had GPT to help me to create a handler for this information, and so I just retrieve data, and it's going to spit back all that information I gave to it. So the reservation ID, trip ID, my name, so all those details, okay? And all this is getting written to the database for us to absolutely be able to access, in the future through Amazon Connect, which is actually the goal, okay? And so now let's say I want to cancel this, okay? I want to cancel a flight. So let's just say I want to cancel it, but I want to pass the bad information. Okay, this reservation does not exist, okay? All right, just to make sure that, I'm not fooling around and just giving, dummy data. Let's try right here. Okay, cancel this reservation. Nope, the reservation does not exist, but this one does. Reservation canceled successfully. Okay, so now we know that it works, okay? So, again, I'm just using GPT to basically help with the development process, okay? So that's what this is doing, all right? And that's how I, was able to kind of put all this together. Now, Ian, you still need to understand how to, wire everything up and whatnot, but GPT definitely helps with that. And, I can definitely help, if you have any questions on how to do this. Now, GPT is also useful, help me to build a Docker file real quick because I'm trying to get this presented. So I need to really be able to, do this really quickly. GPT, and I also use this other UI called Perplexity. Perplexity is really great too. So Perplexity, this helps me to do the same. Sometimes the output is a little bit better. So I just use Perplexity UI, or excuse me, Perplexity AI to, basically speed up development as well. So it's a little bit better than GPT in my opinion. So I just use a combination of both. So that's basically the main process, okay? So after we do that here, we're not finished. We have to create this Docker file, and this Docker file is basically going to create the image. It's basically the recipe for creating the image that we need to create a container that we're ultimately going to use in our application, going forward. Now, to actually do that, we use we use GitHub Actions. Okay, so GitHub Actions, what it does though, is just like a built-in CI/CD tool that GitHub provides us that allows us to automate code that we push to GitHub. We can do different things with it. In this particular case, what I'm doing here is I'm building a workflow. Okay, so the workflow, what it does is, so you can set secrets in the repository that you're pushing the code through. Okay, so in this particular repository, I've actually went through and I set my username and password along with my AWS access keys and secret access keys. And what's gonna happen here is basically it's just gonna run a standard command for building a Docker file, and it's going to push it to Docker Hub, with all of the appropriate environment variables, and we're going to see this in a moment. Now, how I got this, really quickly is just again, we just want to leverage AI. Okay, so it's right here. Um, so some of this is trial and error, but you just basically, hey, listen, Perplexity, I want to be able to have a workflow in Docker Hub that can build, test ultimately, and deploy this image to Docker Hub so that I can use it later on in Kubernetes. And so that's kind of where we're headed. We just kind of stage it with these videos. So I'm kind of fast forwarding time here. Let me just go down here. So I think I used GitHub. Yeah, so I used ChatGPT to actually get this one. Again, if you're not using AI to kind of speed up your process, I just it's just a waste of time. So the main thing about AI is just knowing what to ask for. So you're just using your experience of actually having done this in the past to actually speed up the process. So I'm just like, hey, create a GitHub action that uses Bash to build and deploy a Docker Hub. So sometimes it gives you an option. It gives you a solution, but the solution doesn't work, like this particular one. So I'm basically saying, hey, this just convert this into another way. So convert this to a Bash script that can actually run the same. I know that's a lot of jargon, but that's how I got this right here, basically. Okay, I could have done this myself, but hey, it's just when you have access to all of the world's text and language model, you use that. Okay, so basically, I'm just gonna create a small little change here, and I'm going to push this up to GitHub. Let me add everything here. GitHub. And we're just gonna see this in action, and then we're gonna be done with the demo. Git push. Okay, so now we just go to GitHub, go to Actions here. All right, and so it's already working. So, all right, so build and push. Okay, so let's go inside here. Now it's ultimately going to be hidden right here. So you see that this is the image that that I'm creating. Okay, so look, if I hit refresh, nothing. So I did this 25 minutes ago. So now, I'm using that GitHub Actions file that I got through ChatGPT that I knew what to ask for. It's building it out. So should be pretty quick though. Okay, so right now it's just building out the Docker file. It's gonna so it's building the Docker file. The Docker image is building it out. Okay. And so we're right over here, like we're right in here basically. And I think it's pushing it now. Yep, so it's pushing it. So we're right here now. It's Docker push. So this is the last one, last stage. So layer already exists. So I've been at this for a little bit, and we shall see what the results are. So there's a couple of different CI/CD tools. I like GitHub Actions because this is convenient for what I'm doing here with these videos. But there's other options. So GitLab, we'll probably get into that a little bit later. So look, that's done. We got green. Green is good. So if I update this, if I refresh it, look at that a few seconds ago. So I mean that's that's the process for basically automating changes that you want to make to an application, especially in this development environment. Okay, so that's using Chat GPT. So I mean that's basically deconstructing an AWS blog, to have ChatGPT to kind of help us engineer a small little solution that's going to help us learn more about, creating pipelines and containerizing applications and that whole CI/CD process. So that's really the demo for today. So next demo, we're actually going to be deploying this to Kubernetes and moving forward to actually bringing this entire um, this solution, this workflow to life. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If is there something particular you want to see me cover in these videos, please let me know. But I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you subscribe. And you have a great rest of your day.